Our big focus today, Prime Minister Modi is in Bangladesh on a two-day visit for the country's 50th Independence Day celebrations and the centenary year of its founder Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. On day one of his visit, Prime Minister Modi met with the liberation fighters called Mukti Jodhas and engaged with the opposition leaders of the country, where issues pertaining to the bilateral relations were discussed. Addressing the main function of the day at Dhaka's parade ground, Prime Minister Modi thanked his fellow counterpart Sheikh Hasina, President Abdul Hamid and citizens of Bangladesh for having him to be part of the celebrations. Besides taking part in these wide ranges of programs aimed at strengthening cooperation between the two countries, he is also set to offer prayers at the Jogeshwari Kali temple. While addressing the gathering as the chief guest at Bangladesh's 50th Independence Day celebrations, the Indian Prime Minister talked about the strong ties between the two nations.
इसी साल ही भारत बांग्लादेश मैत्री के 50 वर्ष पूरे हो रहे हैं। जातिर पिता बंगबंधु शेख मुजीबुर रहमान की जन्मशती का ये वर्ष दोनों देशों के संबंधों को और मजबूत कर रहा है।
The Indian Prime Minister also paid tribute to Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Listen in.
मैं बंगबंधु शेख मुजीबुर रहमान जी को आदरपूर्वक श्रद्धांजलि देता हूं, जिन्होंने बांग्लादेश और यहां के लोगों के उनके लिए अपना जीवन न्योछावर कर दिया। हम भारतवासियों के लिए गौरव की बात है कि हमें शेख मुजीबुर रहमान जी को गांधी शांति सम्मान देने का अवसर मिला।
And for more on this, we are now being joined by Mr. Shamsher Chaudhary, former diplomat from Dhaka. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. What can you tell us about the significance of this visit and how will this help strengthen ties between the two nations?
Well, obviously, the visit of the Indian Prime Minister to Bangladesh generally is a very important event, given the history and the nature of our relations, going back to 1971, when it was the bonding of two peoples, not just that we fought side by side and shed blood together for our freedom. And on this particular occasion, this is to celebrate the birth centenary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, father of the nation, the Golden Jubilee celebration of the independence of the country or the nation that he founded, and also the 50th anniversary of the establishment of bilateral relations between Bangladesh and India. So, you know, is a kind of convergence of or alignment of the stars, and that the Indian Prime Minister landed right on the Independence Day itself, which is today, 26th of March, makes this visit even more significant symbolically, and hopefully at the end of the visit we will know also substantially, because there is a bilateral meeting set for tomorrow. The Indian Foreign Secretary yesterday at a press conference said that there will be some announcements. So, you know, I mean, any visit of any Indian leader at any level, political leader, raises expectations in Bangladesh on unresolved issues like the water sharing mostly, and also the killing in the border. So that is what the people of Bangladesh want to see. Now, let us also reiterate that over the last decade or so, the relations have seen an exponential improvement, closeness of ties, connectivity, trade, inter-country movement between people. Most importantly, at a very, very critical time in our country and your country, that is the terrible pandemic that we are all victims of, India to have supplied 2 million vaccines, COVID vaccines, as a gift and then for Bangladesh to be so easily from India, 5 million more. And I understand today the Prime Minister of India is also getting another 1.5 billion dose as a gift.
Absolutely, sir.
So these are very important events. You know, you don't have to have a big event, but help from a friend when help is needed. 71 was one threshold.
Yes.
Now, in the midst of a pandemic, to get vaccines free when so many countries in Europe and elsewhere else are floundering,
Yes.
you know, almost losing sight. So it is a very, very important and a significant visit symbolically and otherwise. And we will see tomorrow what more will come out of it in terms of the bilateral
Absolutely.
relation.
I was actually going to come to vaccine diplomacy, but now that you've mentioned that, how do you think these relations will evolve in the post-pandemic world?
Well, I have been saying this for a while now, especially to my friends in India, that the nature of the Bangladesh-India relations has now evolved to such a position. And the fact that where Bangladesh stands today, that our relations with our closest neighbor and the power in Asia, which is India, should go beyond just the bilateral frame. I think there is a lot of happening in this multipolar Asia. We are seeing the dawn, not the dawn, almost we reached the middle of the day of a bipolar, multipolar Asia. You know, Japan, China, India, all are vying for space, all are creating regional frameworks of relationship, because islands are not countries anymore, that you have relationship with only two countries. Now, this is a country of 160, 70 million people. We have proven ourselves to India under Sheikh Hasina's prime ministership a responsible neighbor to India. We have been sensitive to your concerns. You have been sensitive to our needs. There are issues that need to be done. So the opportunities are plenty, but the list of challenges is also not a small one. You know, so one has to take into account and see in a post-pandemic situation. I don't know when the post-pandemic situation will come. Nobody knows. But take it beyond. Now, you know, if you recall the 17th December virtual discussion between the two prime ministers, where Sheikh Hasina said that we should have a SAARC regional medical research center. And I think that's a very, very loaded message she gave. She used the word SAARC. She said, didn't say just South Asia, but she said SAARC. And SAARC is like 8 countries. And I personally, and I think many in Bangladesh would, say that India could take a lead role in that, because India is now the largest manufacturer of COVID vaccines in the world. So you have the researchers, you have the technical expertise, you have the wherewithal. So the health security has now become a new element in bilateral and regional and global relationships. You know, we had food security, water security, but now health security has been thrown into the equation. So I think there's a lot of very strong possibilities for the future. And we should both work together to move that agenda forward.
All right. And on the issues of connectivity, defense cooperation, border infrastructure development and incentivizing startups, these are going to be key areas of discussion as well. What can we expect on that front?
Well, I think connectivity, there has been exponential rise in connectivity. Almost every pre-1965 railway connections have been recreated. Now there is much more increased use of the river transport from West Bengal to eastern part of India, and then even from Bangladesh to northeast India, boats and carrying goods to as export materials. So this is something something very, very useful, because we are a riverine country, and using the river as a mode of transport is ecologically friendly, is economical, and is easier method. People have moved by rivers in Bangladesh for centuries. So I think that is the area that you touched upon, defense cooperation. You see, this defense cooperation, I have always argued, was founded in blood in 1971. There is very, very few instances of such a small or such a strong relations where two militaries fought side by side for a common cause.
Absolutely.
For the independence. So I think we can now pick up on that one and move forward to see what more we can do.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us with your inputs, and thank you for your time. Continuing our coverage of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Dhaka, he is scheduled to visit collaborative exhibition of India and Bangladesh's Father of the Nation. Just ahead of his visit, our principal diplomatic correspondent Siddhant Sibal brings you an exclusive talk with the curator of this exhibition. Let's listen in.
And this is a location where there is an exhibition, a digital exhibition of Bapu, the Father of the Nation of India, and Bangabandhu, the Father of the Nation of Bangladesh. And with me is the curator of this digital exhibition. Sir, welcome to WION. My first question to you is why this place is important in terms of Prime Minister's visit, the significance of this place, if you can talk about that.
Well, I must be honest over here and say that we've received stupendous amount of support from the Bangladeshis, the government of Bangladesh, and the museums. As you all know that, we are the Mahatma Gandhi Digital Museums, and we had to get a lot of information of Sheikh Mujib. And then we had to curate this museum. So about 4 months ago, when we had traveled here to Bangladesh, we received unbelievable support. And I think the testimony to this beautiful exhibition that has come up over here, and to the story that is common, which we are presenting over here between Bangabandhu and Bapu, is a compliment to the shared initiative of India and Bangladesh.
So now talking about the Father of the Nation of India and the Father of the Nation of Bangladesh, it's Mujib Barsho, and recently we celebrated Mahatma Gandhi's anniversary as well. So what are the similarities, if you can talk about that, in a sense form the foundation of this strong relationship between New Delhi and Dhaka?
I think first and foremost, I would like to say love for their people. I think the way Bapu loved us, Sheikh Mujib loved his people exactly the same way, and it results in today being called the Father of the Nation. Second, I think if you see the trajectory of their lives, if you see how their lives were influenced during the youth, you'll find a lot of similarities. You'll see a lot of milestones as they crossed together. However, unfortunately, Sheikh Mujib's life was cut short, and Gandhiji was able to lead a much more full life till the age of 78. But at the same time, when we compare the initiatives that they brought out for the people, the way they got masses to join them, how simple things like, for example, the language movement, the 6-point charter which Sheikh Mujib initiated over here, compare that with the Salt March, a simple concept of Mahatma Gandhi, really resonated with the people. So I think that's the commonality which you can really see between these two leaders.
And perhaps it also shows the pain of that time, the millions of the Bangladeshi nationals who were killed, and of course the Indians who sacrificed their lives.
Yes, that's a very serious part of the digital exhibition which we have over here. As you know, as in India, one of the examples was Jallianwala Bagh, when the brutality of the English was shown up in front of us, and the way so many people died over there. Similarly, in 1971, there was a genocide over here, and we call it the untold story of the 3 million people who were affected and died in that genocide. In fact, it's probably the most painful point of this country and of this region. It hasn't been talked about enough. We have created a tunnel to exhibit what really happened at that point of time. But I have to tell you, what we have created in the tunnel is not enough to justify what actually happened.
And on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of Bangladesh's independence, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi would be visiting 2 temples of the Matua community in Gopalganj and Satkhira districts. Besides visiting the temples, he will then exchange views with the people of the Matua community. This has created a great deal of excitement among the locals. The temple authority and local government have completed all the required arrangements for his arrival. Many here consider this a master stroke for winning the votes of the Matua community in West Bengal. A ground report by our correspondent Lakmeena Jasmine Soma. Take a look.
This is the Yeshwaraswari Devi Temple in Shyamnagar Upazila of Satkhira district in Bangladesh. It is considered a sacred place by Hindus. The Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, will visit this temple on March 27th. In preparation for his arrival, a festive mood prevails among the people of this region, bordering West Bengal, India. Locals think that with the arrival of Modi, this temple will be known worldwide.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi is now a world leader. His arrival at this temple in South Bengal is like a fairy tale to us. As it's about to happen, we can't express in words how excited the people of this area are.
I believe that with the arrival of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, this temple will prosper. Many people will start coming here just like in the place of pilgrimage.
We are very happy and proud that the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, will visit our nation. We are fortunate that he is coming to a small country like ours.
The history of the establishment of Yeshwaraswari Temple is 450 years old. The Hindu priest of the temple said that Prime Minister Narendra Modi would come here to worship and exchange views with the local Matua community. The temple authorities have made every preparation to ensure that his worship is uninterrupted.
I have learned that he will come here and worship. That is why I have taken all kinds of preparations. Here he is supposed to spend 30 to 35 minutes. He may visit the infrastructure of the temple.
Meanwhile, extensive preparations are underway in Tungipara of Gopalganj district and Urakandi of Kashiani on the occasion of the Prime Minister's visit. Harichand Tagore, the proponent of Matua doctrine, and his son Guruchand Tagore were born in Urakandi of Kashiani Upazila in Gopalganj. The temple of that village is known to the Matua community as a place of highest pilgrimage. Here Narendra Modi will worship at the temple of Harichand Guruchand Tagore at Thakurbari. After that he will exchange views with the members of Thakurbari in front of the temple. He is scheduled to exchange views with more than 300 Matua leaders in another field in front of the house.
This is a great achievement for us. We girls will all wear red sari and welcome him with flowers, sandalwood and incense.
Harichand Tagore appeared on March 11, 1812 as the savior of the lower caste Hindu community. Later his son Guruchand Tagore took over the responsibility. Matua devotees from different countries including Bangladesh, India, Nepal and Sri Lanka take part in the festival, organized every year on the occasion of Harichand Tagore's birth anniversary.
We look forward to seeing him. If he really comes here and keeps his footsteps, we will be forever grateful.
Not only the Matua devotees living in Urakandi, but all the Matua devotees all over the world are overwhelmed by the news of the visit.
We all Matua fans are waiting for him. May his visit be a success, and it is desirable that we get the opportunity to receive him.
Discussions are going on in Dhaka and Kolkata about Modi's visit to the temple of the Matua community during the West Bengal Assembly elections. Some people think that Prime Minister Narendra Modi wants to deliver a master stroke by visiting those temples to win the Matua vote in West Bengal. India and Bangladesh together have more than 50 million people of the Matua community. About 30 million of them live in West Bengal. Many local newspapers have reported that the central leadership of the BJP thinks that it will be easier for the BJP to win the Matua vote in West Bengal if Prime Minister Modi goes there and pays homage to Harichand Guruchand Thakur.
Apart from visiting the two temples, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has another important program outside Dhaka. He will pay homage to Bangabandhu's mausoleum at Tungipara in Gopalganj. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is also expected to be there. This is Lakmina Jasmine Sharma in Dhaka for you.
And that's all the time that we have on this edition of the News Bulletin, but our special coverage continues on the other side, so do stay tuned.